color. With the black wheels, some tints, this vehicle is literally just tints away from being one of the best looking compact hatches on the road today. Performance-wise, let's take this 2024 Civic Sport hatchback out for a drive and see what it's got. All right, guys, now we're just about seeing everything we need to see with the inside and outside of the 2024 Honda Civic Sport hatchback. Let's take it out for a drive and see what it's got. My first impressions, though, the throttle isn't too sensitive. Hondas usually do a pretty good job with sensitive throttles, but with this 2-liter and CVT, it doesn't feel too strong. The steering, though, however, feels really good. It feels just as good as it felt in the SI. That was one of my biggest compliments of the SI, was just how good the steering felt. And that's the same thing here. Honda really knocked it out of the park. Taking a step out here, yeah, the throttle's okay. Definitely picks up speed quick enough, but it just doesn't feel like, if you guys have driven the 2.4 from Honda that you used to have in the Civic Si, or even in the Honda Accord, it felt significantly more responsive through the foot. Taking a step out here, we'll lean into it a little bit more, about half throttle. This is half throttle. I mean, it does get there in speed. That was like only half throttle. I'm sure full throttle will feel a lot more responsive. And speaking of that, let's turn around and see exactly what full throttle feels like. Make sure we're good. Looks like we are. Turning radius is sharp. Full throttle. Yeah. Really not a whole lot. This guy took a great time to come out, but yeah, it won't blow you away. I could definitely see 0 to 60 happening in the mid to high 8-second range. If that's not acceptable to you, definitely check out one of the turbocharged models. The Turbo Civic, the regular one, not the SI, will still do 60 closer to 7 seconds, where the SI will be at 6.5. Type R will be under 5 seconds. But right here, we can check out the handling. The brakes feel great. Steering feels awesome. Body rolls limited. On the gas. Woo! Woo! It goes all the way up to the top of that red line too. It's a screamer. Red line around 6,700 RPM. That's typical from Honda. And it sounds okay once you get up in the rev range. When you're in the lower part of the rev range, it doesn't sound too good. You don't really feel a whole lot of power. But it does get up and go quite well. With a fuel economy average at 32 mpgs, you don't buy this car for the power. If you need the power, definitely check out one of the turbo models. But handling wise and isolation wise, this is a top-notch vehicle. It seems very quiet in the interior. We can try out another acceleration off the line. I'll catch right back with you. Alright guys, off the line, this is sport mode. There we go. Once you cross about 4,000 RPM, that's when this motor starts to feel like it's got a little bit of power in it. I wouldn't mind if they offered this motor with a manual option, because then you can keep it in first gear, second gear a little bit longer and kind of offset the underpoweredness of this platform. But with the CVT, it really strings out those lower RPMs, so it takes a little bit longer to get to the meat of the power band. Alright guys, taking a step out here. I mean, in sport mode, you do feel a little bit more response through the throttle. The steering gets a tiny bit heavier. The ride quality, though, is fantastic with these 40 sidewall tires. With the lower trims, with the beefier tires, the ride quality is probably even better. But for the sportier trims, this still feels really good. Low throttle, good pull in sport mode. You hold revs a little bit higher in sport mode. Right now, we're just cruising at like 2,500 RPM. So don't expect a combined 32 mpgs in sport mode, but in sport mode it definitely feels a lot more responsive. We can try out some twisties. We could also try out these paddle shifters, make sure we're good. On the gas, responsive. The steering feels wonderful. On the gas, woo! Yep, snappy shifts. They're not real shifts because of the CVT. Brakes feel good. Steering feels almost as good as it did in the SI. Wow, the handling for the hatchback, almost as good as it is in the sedan. Not bad. You hear the stuff back there flying around, but the handling is excellent for a hatchback, guys. Turning radius, let's see what we got. The SI did this with no problem. Let's see what we got with the hatchback. Also no problem on the gas, good response. To the turn. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Yeah. One last twisty. Woo. Not a lot of torque though in second gear, which is weird. For those twisties, we're keeping this thing in first, which is absolutely unnecessary. I feel like they should really shorten the lower gears of this CVT. I can't imagine it being very good for fuel economy if we're constantly overstepping on the gas pedal in the lower gears just to get the vehicle out of its own way. That can't be the most possible efficient way for this vehicle. At low throttle, it feels fine, but even to get up and go to 25 miles per hour, we're crossing almost 3,000 RPM, and it takes a good second and a half to even get past 2,000 with this longer first gear. We're going to almost 45 miles per hour in first gear, or first ratio, and for a vehicle with, let's say, an underpowered four-cylinder engine, that's just not an ideal situation. But outside of that, this vehicle feels really solid and premium. You don't buy this vehicle for the performance. If you are looking for something performance oriented, I would definitely recommend you not going for this one. But we'll take one more step out here, take it out of sport mode. We're gonna have to beat it up a whole lot further. Econ mode, let's see what we got. The gas pedal is way less responsive. This is about half throttle. I mean, we get up out of our own way eventually, but it's definitely a lot less aggressive than it was in sport. For daily driving, honestly, I'd recommend just leaving it in econ mode, because yes, it's a lot less sensitive in econ mode, but it's not like it was a super responsive vehicle in sport mode anyway, and you're losing a good probably 3-4 miles per gallon in sport mode as opposed to econ mode. In that sense, I recommend leaving this thing in econ mode at all times. Drive this as like a steady daily driver that you don't plan on beating up. Just a commuter car that has good sporty dynamics, great looks, and a very spacious interior. If that's what you're looking for, guys, this is one of the best options on the road today. With a base price around $26,000, you have all the features you could possibly want or need: a quiet cabin, a spacious interior, and very sporty and premium feeling driving dynamics. I would definitely recommend checking out the 2024 Honda Civic Sport Hatchback. If you're looking for something practical, you don't need something that'll blow the doors off when it comes to performance. You just need practicality, good looks, and a very solid amount of standard features. And a big thanks to Samwise at Ocean Honda in Port Richey, Florida for helping make this review possible. I'll leave a link to their inventory below, and if you're looking for a new car, SUV, or truck in the Port Richey, Clearwater, Tampa area, I would definitely recommend checking these guys out and ask for Samwise. And huge thanks to all of you for watching.